what makes the Porsche 911, the 993 so special? Well, these were hand built and handmade, and the whole car in itself, the way it stands, the way it looks, and just the pure joy of opening and closing the doors. This is what Porsche was all about. At the back, you find the 3.6 litre naturally aspirated flat 6 boxer engine, and it genuinely doesn't get any better than this. In terms of the bhp this produces 272 brake horsepower, 338 newton meters of torque. The top speed on this, believe it or not, is 171 miles per hour out of this engine, and the 0 to 62 is possible in 5.1 seconds. This outside silhouette and the whole shape of it, it's still nimble, it's still small, it still has that Porsche 911 character of it being small but handles incredibly well. And these 911s, up until this age, they were built to last. They were made with love, by love, from people in Germany, and they still are made in Germany, but not the way they were made back in the day. And the fact that the air-cooled sort of sings and has a soul of its own and drives and handles and is the best combination between what a driver should input in to be able to get the best out of it and what the car sort of gives you, and the way the clutch pedal is set up and the 6-speed manual transmission, it genuinely doesn't get better than overall this sort of an interior, in terms of it being a classic, in terms of it being able to give you the best possible experience that one would crave out of a Porsche 911. Spec wise, obviously this has got this beautiful, gorgeous two-tone interior with the grey and the blue, and the sunroof, the electric side door mirrors, the electric windows. It's got practically everything you would want, with that fine balance of it being a modern car. It's finished in this gorgeous sea blue metallic color, complemented with the 17-inch Cup 2 factory wheels. And something like this, it's not just about what it looks like, but it's how it makes you feel, and above all, how it drives. Because I've been out in it in London, and I took it to the Porsche Festival in Brands Hatch, and on the way, you know, you see people wave and people compliment it. And above all, even if you are a non-Porsche enthusiast or somebody that actually doesn't know Porsche, I've had people give me the thumbs up saying nice cars, because it's nimble, small, it has a character, it's shouting Porsche ethos at its core without you having to kind of reach out in any way, form or shape. We obviously had the original 911s starting from 1963, then we went into the G-body 911 and the 911 SCs, the 964s, and then obviously the 993s. And from there onwards, some people might argue that they took a slightly backward step with them becoming water-cooled, where the 996 had whatever it was in terms of the engine issues, you know, the liners that were used, and them using the parts between a Porsche Boxster and a Porsche 911. And eventually, obviously, they tried to go back to differentiate that with the 997 Generation 1, but still with the engine issues that occurred in them between 2004 to 2008, and then in the second generation of the 997, the 997.2s. And then eventually they became part of the VAR group in 2011, and they've become bigger, wider. They essentially became unlike what these Porsches were really meant to be. And the next part of this video should really be about driving this. The 993 is something incredible. It's everything you would want a Porsche 911 to be. Starting from getting into it and getting out of it because of this sound. On the inside, you've got this really nice, clear cabin space, and it's really one of those Porsches that I feel like it allows a lot of natural light, and it's not filled with big wide B pillars as you find in the Porsche 911, the 991s, or even the 997 or the 996s. Really, you've got a very good 360 view all around you. Now, getting into your seats and just having a position of comfort is quite important. The clutch is nice and soft. It's not stiff in any way, form or shape. It's not been used or abused. The current owner, who's had it for the past 17 years, was somebody that took a lot of care of this car, and quite an elderly, so just barely drove it all over all these years. It's done 76,000 miles as it stands. Now into second gear. Now dropped it to second from third. When the weather is the way it is now as it stands, any sort of a sports car would be nice to drive, but something like the 993 is incredible to drive. I mean, it's screaming at you to take him out for a drive. And as I mentioned, this is the car that I chose to take to Brands Hatch for the Porsche Festival. This is the car that I drove to London, I think that evening, for dinner, because it's something truly remarkable. It's something I think everyone should really experience. And especially if you're a Porsche guy and a Porsche fan. And this is the Porsche designation that everybody talks about and everyone genuinely, truly loves, because it has the best of everything Porsche had to offer from 1963 until 1990s, all put into building the 993. So we've got this, just dropping down the gear, and the sound from the naturally aspirated flat six engine, it's get a bit of a grunt. And I'm not even pushing, I'm just poodling around in this village, reviewing the 911, talking about what it's like. And if I want to put my foot down, it goes. And it handles like any sports car is meant to handle. But I'll take my foot off the accelerator and I'll leave the pushing the car to a little while. But let's focus on the last of the air-cooled engines. Unfortunately, many of us would have loved for it to continue, but due to, I guess, all the restrictions that the lawmakers put on manufacturers, as a consequence, they needed to go down the water-cooled route. So from that 3.6 litre naturally aspirated engine, and this being a Carrera 4, it's wider bodied, it generates 272 brake horsepower. Torque-wise, it's 338 Newton meters of torque. The top speed is 171 miles per hour, and the 0 to 62 miles per hour is possible in 5.1 seconds. And now let's get to the business of dropping the gear. Third gear, I'm doing a speed just to get this grunt here and just engaging and a bit fun to drive. Let me slow down here a little bit. Still second gear, 30 miles an hour, just over 3,000 RPM. With the windows rolled down, 5,500 RPM. Fourth gear. And what a fun car to drive. And during all this time, I'm still hovering between 55 to 60 miles per hour. And this is really the epitome of, as they would say in the Porsche world, as I would say, is I would prefer a slow car fast than a fast car slow. And really, this just ticks every single box in a very beautiful way. And if I was to actually just put the windows up, close that sunroof, and wanting to enjoy the car and switching on the air conditioning so I can have some cold air thrown at me. This really is something from an experience point of view that many cars will not offer. And at the price range it is, when you consider, I mean, we're in the UK in September 2023, at a price range it is, it being a Carrera 4, it's a coupe manual, it doesn't get any more desirable than this at a price of £65,000. And is this going to lose any money? Absolutely not. I mean, you could own one of these for the next 5 to 10 years, and without any shadow of a doubt, this will continue to appreciate in value, like it has over the past 20 odd years. Because look around on the internet, with practically every other Porsche 911, 993, you'll find issues with it bodywork wise, where one of these ideally should be going through a full nut and bolt restoration, which we have had cars that has gone through that level of restoration, and they cost anywhere from 20 to 30,000 pounds, and this doesn't need that. And it's because of that reason that I actually have enjoyed and appreciated this 911, the way it's been kept and the condition it's been kept since 1995. I can't say the same about other 911s, even if they are 10 years old. So there's a combination between how well this has been built and how well it's been maintained. And it's a car that I think should be loved, should be maintained, no matter who owns it. The clutch and the 6-speed transmission is a joy, it's an absolute joy to engage, to ride this car with this setup. And it being a Carrera 4, it's an absolute dream to handle around these bends. Even at speed, it's a very capable car, and all this together is what makes this incredibly enjoyable to drive, to own, to have in our showroom. Even earlier we had somebody in for an Aston Martin Vantage, and this is the car they were looking at. They had a partner with them, and out of all the car at the dealership, I mean, we've got a 911 GT3 RS. They came to the 993 just to look at it and just to appreciate it. And I think that just goes to speak volumes for the Porsche 993. And hopefully, in just this segment of the video, I've just done enough to kind of convince you to depart with your money on a 993. Thank you very much for watching the video. I'll go away and put some miles on this. Joking, but thank you. Bye-bye. In terms of paperwork, this has an incredible owner's history. I mean, it's got 5 former keepers ever since this was new, and we're going back to this being first registered in 1995. The current owner has had it for the longest period of time. He's had it since July 2006, so a very long time. It's got quite a few invoices of when it's been serviced, and it has had bits and bobs done over the years. And in terms of the service history, it's got a full service history, which I'll just sort of take you through right here. It's been serviced as and when required as per Porsche's schedule. And basically, as you know, it's a 95 car. Let me just remember this. 95 car, so done in 96, 97, 99, 2000, 2001. And then 2002, 2003, 2004, 2006, 2007, 2009, 2012, 2015, 2016, 2018, 2020, and more recently at 2023, as well as the brake fluid also being done in 2023. So overall, condition-wise and service history-wise, if you want something that's going to retain value in terms of a classic car that's got all the original documentation from the owner's manual, from the service history and all the paperwork and some invoices to support that, it generally doesn't get better than this 993. And overall, it's all in original condition, and there isn't any sort of major rust or any major issues anywhere on the vehicle. It's basically ready to go and ready to be enjoyed. And even if somebody doesn't want to enjoy it and just park it as a garage queen for the next 20, 10 or 5 years, doesn't matter, for however long, that condition of this vehicle will retain as original as possible. Since 2018, it's barely done any mileage. I think from memory, it's done less than, I think, 600 or 500 miles. Hopefully I've covered everything. Hopefully I've covered everything in this video. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and see you in future content. Thank you. Bye-bye.